Hello, this is Steve Potasic, Superintendent of Jacksonville School District 117. Thank you for watching this online presentation recorded on March 21st, 2018. This presentation covers the expansion of our early childhood program and the impact this expansion has on other district facilities. I have created an alternative title in response to a commonly asked question regarding this issue. Why are we moving the central office? Before answering that question, I need to cover some foundational information on our early childhood program. Did you know? Our early childhood program is making tremendous progress in closing the achievement gap. Our program is completely funded by the state. This includes all staffing and even transportation. This money is based on federal programs and is the most secure state funding we receive. Early childhood dollars are only earned through a competitive grant. Many districts do not have a program. Our multi-year grant window application period is open now for the next school year and beyond, because it's typically a grant submittal once every 5 years. But the state did extend the last period 2 years. So 7 years ago, during the last grant submittal period, many school districts lost funding for this important program. Our program is thoroughly evaluated by the state. The evaluations are taken into consideration in earning future grant awards. We score extremely well in every area except we receive low scores in the physical location of our program. I also need to give you some basic information on school grants. Consider this Grant 101. We have two different categories of school grants. Grants are either formula grants or competitive grants. These grants are very different. We mostly deal with formula grants. These are guaranteed grants that we are able to consider in our budget with a certain degree of accuracy. The dollar amount awarded by these grants is determined by a formula. This formula includes information such as student enrollment, economic demographics, or special education numbers. These are commonly written each year. Examples of formula grants include our federal title and special education grants. Competitive grants are much different. Our early childhood grant is the best example of this type of grant. They are only awarded based on a successful proposal. The dollar amount awarded, if any, is based on factors such as demonstrated need, the quality of the proposal, evaluations of existing programs, and a district's commitment to support grant efforts. Those last two are very important in helping explain the move of the central office. There is a pool of money that is limited. Often awards are listed after being ranked, and once the money runs out, the awards stop. This is truly a competition for both the grant and the limited funds. They are typically given over a period of time. As stated earlier, the early childhood grant competitive proposal period is usually once every 5 years, but the state did extend it the last 2 years. So for districts that have lost the grant in the past, they have waited 7 years to apply for the grant again. The competitive window for the early childhood grant proposals was opened earlier this year. We, along with hundreds of other districts throughout the state, submitted our proposals in January. Fortunately, our grant writing team includes individuals with tremendous experience in writing early childhood grants. We are very fortunate that this grant window coincided with the move of the 6th grade students to Jacksonville Middle School and the return of the central office kindergarten classes to their home schools. This allowed us to establish the central office as a dedicated early childhood center, which will greatly help with our efforts to maximize our grant award. To fully explain the move of the central office, I need to cover the importance of our early childhood program. At the February 21st board meeting, District Curriculum Director Sarah Rayner and early childhood principal Sarah English teamed to give a powerful presentation to the Board of Education on the importance of early childhood education and how the move to the central office will help the program and the community. I will give a summary of the presentation. However, I want to clarify that the terms early years and early childhood are both used to describe the district's programs. Often the term pre-K is used. In the upcoming data, students characterized as having attended the early years or early childhood program represent only those students who have attended the district's program. Our early years program has received over $10 million in state money over the last 10 years. We currently serve 180 students with this grant award, but we have much more need. 85 students are on our waiting list, and 96% of the students served are from low-income families. Currently, we have one office and 4 early childhood classes at Walnut Court Housing in what are originally built as apartments. We also have 1 classroom at Voss Housing and 2 other half-day classes, 1 at Murrayville Woodson and 1 here at the central office. There have been many national studies on the importance of early childhood education in closing the achievement gap. One in 1995 showed that children from professional families at age 4 know 1,100 words. Children from working class families know 700 words. Children from welfare families only know 500 words. Another study in 2001 showed that linguistically poor first graders knew 5,000 words, while linguistically rich first graders knew 20,000 words. This is an incredibly important program in helping prepare our students. This slide had the most powerful impact on the viewers during the presentation. It shows the amazing outcomes of this important program. The chart shows the percent of students meeting kindergarten learning benchmarks in Jacksonville Public Schools. The orange columns represent the students that attended the district's early childhood program, and the green columns are the students that didn't. Please note, once again, the term early years and early childhood are both used to describe our program. In both math and reading for 2 years, the students that attended the district's early childhood program outperformed students that didn't. This highlights the extreme importance of early childhood education, especially with our at-risk students. Why do we want to expand our program? Our grant proposal for next year is written to allow us to increase our enrollment from 180 students to 240 students and increase the number of students offered a full-day program. This will help us continue to decrease the achievement gap. Unfortunately, there are still approximately 200 students considered at risk in our community that are not being served. Why is the central office an important piece in expanding our grant? According to the Early Childhood Environmental Rating Scale, which is used to monitor the program by the state, both our gross motor space and our indoor space scored below a 5, which is considered a low rating. Basically, our current facilities are not viewed as adequate spaces for early childhood by the state evaluators. This could have had an impact on our grant award. To address this, the current proposal was written with the central office as the early childhood center. The central office has an outstanding new playground specifically designed for early childhood and an indoor large multi-purpose room. The space is far superior to what we currently have available. The building that currently houses our central office also provides a much safer and secure environment. Currently, the public has direct access to each classroom, and we know, given current national tragedies, that this is not an ideal situation. Our new Early Childhood Center will provide a sense of community between the classrooms and promote teacher collaboration and professional development. This center will allow for a positive first impression with our families. Our proposal includes a request for a dramatic increase in state-funded services. Currently, our early childhood grant is $943,000 and serves 180 students. Our grant proposal is for $2 million to serve 240 students, including more full-day classes. We are asking for an increase of over $1 million per year of the grant of state-funded services, and we realistically expect to get at least $500,000 extra each year in services. Added to our existing grant, we expect to get around $1.5 million each year. That's $7.5 million over a 5-year period. And if you take that out into the future, this could equate to $30 million over 20 years of state-funded important services for our students. Once we've established an increase award, it is easier to maintain that award level into the future. The time to increase our grant size, and therefore services to our kids and our community, is now. The proposed early childhood facility has an impact on both, 1, if we get the Early Childhood Block Grant Award, and 2, how much we will receive each year. Grant readers are trained to look for a school district's in-kind contribution. That is the technical term for asking, has the community shown it values early childhood and shown a willingness to invest in the program? Even more simply, do we have skin in the game? Well, now back to the main question. Why are we moving the central office? The 516 Jordan Street building, commonly called the central office, currently houses both the district offices and the district's maintenance department. The facility only has enough space to house 2 of the 3 possible programs, being early childhood, maintenance, and the central office. Basically, our options are to either move the maintenance department, or move the central office, or keep the early childhood program at its current location. We, being the district administration and the Board of Education together, have decided that number 3 was the least preferred option. So that leaves us with 2 possible solutions. First, in moving the maintenance department, what we would have to do is to buy a warehouse type facility to house the maintenance department and then move the central office to the back of this building where the current maintenance department is. This requires then a double move. Or we could move the central office, which would be to buy an office space that will just house the district offices. The search for a solution started near the end of last school year. The district has undergone a year-long, thorough, exhaustive search of any available location throughout the community. Analyzing the possibilities from a financial angle clearly showed us which direction we needed to go. Moving the central office to a new facility will cost the taxpayers from $750,000 to $1 million less than the double move, because the double move option requires purchasing a warehouse space for the maintenance department, improving that space as needed, and then constructing a new central office in the back of the current building. Currently, the maintenance department is basically a large garage that doesn't have HVAC, doesn't have the necessary restroom facilities, etc. Purchasing the 211 West State Street building, what was once the Jacksonville Savings Bank, is substantially less expensive than any other option outside of keeping early childhood program at its current location. $200,000 for a building that is already configured for our needs and in very good condition will allow for an expansion of our early childhood program at a much lower cost than we originally anticipated. So here's the big question. This is the question that I've asked board members and many community members that have wanted to discuss this important topic. Does the community value early childhood education enough to invest district resources to secure and expand the program? And if so, how much? My recommendation to the board was easy. I strongly recommended the purchase of the State Street office building. This will allow us to transform the existing central office into an outstanding early childhood center, which will help secure and expand state funding for this important program. This was by far the lowest cost option of everything we've evaluated. Furthermore, the facility itself provides an outstanding professional development space we currently do not have. Also, this has several positives for the community. The central office will remain centrally located. This move will result in a substantial increase in the consumers on the square. This should benefit the restaurants and shops in that area. This will secure that a building on the square in a highly visible location will not become another abandoned structure. Thank you very much for watching. I tried to make this as brief as possible and welcome further discussion. Please feel free to contact me if you wish to discuss this very important issue.